Welcome back to Soul Hygiene, my brave and beautiful humans. I have with us my great and wonderful social worker friend, Mr. Tony. And I call him that because he's really the only social worker friend I have. So I rely on him a lot for advice and just, keeping me on track with things that are, you know, done in the school system and good things that we can teach our children. So, if you've been following our series, we're doing a series on the word castle, which he will go over that as he does every episode, just to remind you what it's about. And this episode is geared towards more relationship skills. And we were talking before we started recording, most people, when they think of relationship, they think of the person you're with, a romantic relationship, your life partner. But it's every relationship. Like it's your friend, it's your neighbor, it's I don't know, your pastor, your priest, your children, the person that disagrees with you, right? It's how you handle those relationships. And I think you made a good point. One was employer to employee. And I think that's a big topic right there. So we're just going to touch the surface on kind of like what relationship skills we should have, how we can deal with some conflicts. And then we may do another episode kind of geared towards specificity regarding relationship skills. So I'm going to turn it over to my good friend, Mr. Tony, and kind of let him explain Castle again and give his perspective on this topic.
Sure. So thank you again for having me. I always appreciate being able to come on and speak the stuff about Castle here. I think it's good stuff. So Castle, for those that are not aware, is the collaborative for academic and social emotional learning. It is a private organization, so it's not a government entity or anything like that. With that said, I know I work in Illinois as a school social worker at a middle school. In our state specifically has developed our social and emotional learning standards around what Castle has provided. So there's 5 different competencies within Castle. We've already covered 3 of those competencies in our previous episodes. So the first one there is self-awareness, and that's being able to understand your own emotions, your thoughts, your values, and how they influence behavior. It is also a prerequisite skill to have prior to getting into the second one, which is self-management. And that's the ability to manage your own emotions, your thoughts, your behaviors effectively in various types of situations, and as well as to be able to set some goals for yourself and achieve those goals. The third one that we talked about in our most recent episode was social awareness, and that is the ability to understand perspectives of other people, empathize with others, including other people from diverse backgrounds, different cultures, different contexts, and it is a prerequisite skill for what we're talking about tonight, which is relationship skills. So as you kind of already alluded to, it doesn't necessarily have to be a romantic relationship. This is literally every type of relationship that we have as human beings. Specifically, getting into what this skill breaks down into is the ability to establish and maintain healthy and supportive relationships and to effectively navigate settings with diverse individuals and groups is what Castle provides for us. So there's a lot there that can be unpacked. Working in the middle school myself with middle school drama and all of that loveliness, and then those kids are starting to date and do all that fun stuff. Oh, I wish they didn't date in middle school, but that's a whole other
Yeah.
topic. But dealing with conflicts is really the biggest thing that I personally deal with within the school social work setting. Doing that at the middle school level, my elementary counterparts, I think, spend more time, and I do spend a little bit with some of my students on this. Just being able to establish those relationships, friendships, even, and then maintain those relationships over a period of time, as well as even some of my students this year. I was really kind of surprised, just understanding why friendships are important. I've got a kiddo on the spectrum that just can't understand. Like, if it was up to him, he'd live life as a hermit away from every human being ever, and he would be totally happy and fine with that. And I'm like, okay, I get you. I do. Believe me, I have my moments too, my guy. But like, there
Right.
are reasons we need to establish those relationships with other people. Even again, they don't have to be real romantic relationships, but just having friends, like that is an important thing. Like we can rely on them, they can support us, and so that's been a challenging journey to try to teach that to that particular student. But hey, we're working on it.
Oh, like you said, I have my moments too where I want to be a hermit and be like, okay, I don't want to
I'm
deal with
done.
anybody.
Disconnect from humanity
Yeah,
now. Yeah.
I'm good. It's so funny because a side topic, I used to be such an extrovert when I was younger.
Hmm.
Just loved people, loved making friends. And then I think going through those traumatic years really made me introverted.
Sure.
And my relationship skill was with myself. Like I had to find my healthy core,
Mhm.
how I could come out of my shell and in a good way,
Hmm.
there's this rebellion stage I think a lot of kids go through, and I did too when you graduate, and especially if you're like me, you're in a sheltered Christian home, you kind of just like rebel and you do all these things that you weren't allowed to do. And as adults, it's called a midlife crisis. Okay.
Hmm.
And we have to be able to be in healthy relationships with ourselves. And again, going back to our first building block, be self aware enough to know that this is not healthy. You cannot have a healthy relationship with somebody else if you do not have a healthy relationship with yourself.
Yeah,
I completely believe that. And I believe that our building blocks of self awareness, self management, and social awareness have everything to do with our relationship skills.
absolutely.
So that's kind of my, intro into what we're going to talk about. But I mean, I literally did not have relationship skills when I was going through those 25 years of trauma.
Yeah.
Um, and if I did, it wasn't with the person who was abusing me, it
Hmm.
was with everybody else.
Right.
And so you kind of, and I think that's a completely different topic than just the baseline relationship skills. Then you're getting into other things. But again, going back to, you have to maintain a healthy relationship with yourself. And if you believe in God, then have a healthy relationship between you and God. But I do believe that at this point in my life, because I have practiced these skills, um, my next relationship is going to be amazing, because the baggage, I refuse to bring any of my baggage to my next relationship because I am learning to be healthy within myself,
Mhm.
within my relationship between me and God. That baggage has no place in my future relationship if I'm blessed to be in one.
Yeah.
But so going forward, like we said, relationships are not necessarily between people that you were dating, married to, in
Hmm.
love with. I think when I look at you, I love that you have you're building relationship skills with your kiddos. You have to have a relationship and a trust between you and your kiddos, but
Absolutely.
you're also teaching them to have relationship skills with their teachers and with their
Hmm.
parents. And that, especially when kids are young, that needs to be established, especially if their home is a loving and healthy home. Now, obviously, we have a lot of children who do not live in those circumstances. So they really are trying to have healthy relationships within themselves, right?
Yeah.
So that they can be productive human beings
Hmm.
despite what they're growing up in. Um, but when we have healthy homes, you know, relationship skills are learned. You don't come out of the womb knowing how to have good relationship skills.
Yeah.
Right? So it's your environment, it's the people that are teaching you. And I tell you this every show. I feel like your school system is blessed to have you because I know where your heart is. I know that you have a heart for your kiddos, and I think that um, they're learning so much from you because I see how you portray yourself and you put out this information, and I can tell that this is your passion, this is your purpose, is to help other kids. And so I appreciate you for that. And I also think that I want your perspective kind of on the um where we how what is your perspective on having relationship skills in for two people who don't agree with each other
Yeah.
but want to be friends,
Hmm.
but don't have the same values, don't have,
Hmm.
we had touched on this a little bit in our last show, but I think it goes into, again, every building block goes into each other.
Yeah.
I think it's a big thing. Like, how do friends build relationships when they do not have those core values and the same belief system?
Yeah, it can definitely be really, really hard for sure. And there's maybe just certain things that we can agree as two people that we're not going to see eye to eye on, and that's okay as long as we can, as the saying goes, we can agree to disagree. Um, when you have so much that is not in common, then maybe that's not somebody that you're going to have, a relationship with. Or on the flip side of that, maybe just stick to the things that brought you into that relationship to begin with. Like, what were those things that you do have in common? What are those shared interests and things like that? And just focusing on that at the same time, treating that person with respect, acknowledging that they're a human being just like you. We all have basic human rights, should be treated with dignity. Um, with that all being said, yeah, we may not see eye to eye on certain things, and that's totally okay.
I think
Um,
you made a good point in there. And I
mm,
think the R word, respect, is not talked about enough.
yes,
Do I need to earn your respect? You should have respect for here's my feeling on it. And I know people won't agree with me. Okay.
sure.
I like to see the good in people. I'm just
Hmm.
that type of person. So when a person comes at me or, wants to be my friend, I respect them
Hmm.
because I have no reason not to.
Right.
Right? You don't have to earn my respect when I first meet you. You lose my respect, then you're going to need to earn it back.
Correct. Yeah.
But I I'm the type of person that when I meet someone, I just want, I want to believe that they're a good person.
Hmm.
Has it come back to bite me? Yes.
Hmm.
Obviously it has, otherwise we
Yeah.
wouldn't have a podcast. But um but you learn from those things, right? Sometimes you have to learn from other people's mistakes, and I wish more people would do that, not have to go down that road of learning from their own mistakes, but sometimes we do. And I don't think that it's necessarily a bad thing, depending on, what that situation is that you had to learn from. And I think I've said on the show before, I don't believe that God wanted me to go through all that trauma. I don't believe that he put those men in my path. I actually believe he took them out of my life.
Mhm.
But I also know that in every situation, I have found blessings and things that have brought me to where I am. Do I wish wouldn't have gone through that? Yeah, I think anyone would. But can I look back now and be like, because of that, I'm here now and I have a healthy emotional relationship with myself that I can take forward. So I think in that instance, I think you are right when it comes to being friends with someone. If you think it's not going to work, then just walk away amicably, right? Just like people get divorced for no reason at all. Just,
Hmm.
okay, then we don't have anything in common. I think it's different when it comes to family. Your
Sure.
relationship skills with family is a little bit different, especially if you have a loving family.
Yeah.
Um, like for me, I don't really talk politics or religion because I know that we are very opinionated family.
Hmm.
That's just I am the way I am because my parents are the way they are, and my kids are the way they are because I was. It's but I think that when it comes to family, it's a little bit different. You
Hmm.
can't divorce your family, especially if they love you and they haven't done anything for you to not want to be a part of them. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I mean, yeah, there's going to be some things, even within my own family. Yeah, we don't see eye to eye on every single issue or what have you. And, there's maybe a time and place to debate those things or talk about those topics away from, other people that might be super sensitive on certain things or what have you. But at the end of the day, yeah, we're family. We're going to care about each other and love each other. So we're going to push all of that other stuff aside because at the end of the day, we care about each other as human beings. So,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah, and I completely agree. And I think that, these even parents, telling their kids, you don't, this is not how I raised you. You're wrong. That's your child. I
Right.
would never tell my child they were not my child.
Hmm.
So I really hope that this actually encourages some of the listeners or, helps them step back, have a different perspective of a different time of, just love your parents or love your children for who they are. You don't have to agree with their who they want to be. You don't have to agree with their values, but you're their parent. And no matter what, you should be there for them.
Hmm.
I think the next one, as we talked about friends and family,
Yeah.
um, I think that relationship skills when it comes to diverse backgrounds
Hmm.
can be tricky for some people.
For sure.
How do you handle that with your kiddos?
Well, I mean, so my population of kiddos that I work with is predominantly Hispanic population, which I am Hispanic as well, which that helps. I don't speak Spanish though, and a lot of my students do, so that does make things a little difficult. But we've also got a lot of other types of people that practice different religions and what have you, and even within the Hispanic community that I work in, there's a lot of diversity there too. That I'm my eighth year in at this point. This is my eighth school year working in the same location and everything that I've been in. And I'm still learning things about the culture of the community that I serve, which is great. For me, I try my best to be as knowledgeable as I can about all the different things. But as we said in our previous episode, there's no way that a single person is going to know every single thing there is to know, every little nuance about all the different cultures that are out there. Um, so with that said, I tend to let my students and their families teach me. I ask them a lot of questions. I go into it with a very curious mind, always trying to word my questions in a way that is not going to be misinterpreted or to be seen as, um, you know, attacking them or anything like that. I will say for me, just in my own personal journey with regards to this, like learning what the word ignorant means. And I know when I was going through school and stuff, a lot of times that was viewed as a very negative thing to be ignorant about something. Well, I kind of come to the acceptance like, yeah, it's okay to be ignorant about certain things as long as you're not like being rude or being mean or trying to discriminate against somebody for those things that we're ignorant about. Like, part of that will, for me will be okay. Maybe a kid will say something that I've never heard before, like all the slang that our kids use these days. Like Gen Alpha is like, oh my gosh, I can't with some of the things that they say, and I'm like, there's new slang every time I turn around. But Urban Dictionary is my best friend sometimes, right? So I'll punch that into Google or I'll punch it into UrbanDictionary.com and be like, what are they actually talking about here? Oh, that's what they're talking about. Um, Another example for me is, as a school social worker, if like a student says that they want to hurt somebody else or like kill somebody else, we got to take something like that incredibly seriously. And I had some African American students that were saying that they were going to stick each other. And I'm like, I don't like where this is going, which, at the time I did not realize, and this shows my ignorance in this particular situation. I had to look it up. I had to ask a couple friends and things like that. And I'm like, so they keep saying this word, even though like we have to do these homicidal assessments every time. Like, what do they actually mean by this? Um, Come to find out, they just meant like they're gonna punch him in the arm or something like that. I'm like, guys, okay, come on. Like we can't do that because number one, I didn't know what it meant, but number two, a lot of our other staff had no clue in the world that that's what you meant. Like, okay, still not okay to want to be punching each other or what have you, but that's a whole different thing than wanting to kill another person.
I can
So,
tell you, I do not, I have no idea what half the slang means. If
mhm.
someone comes at me with slang, I'm like, can you please tell me what word you are changing? Because don't
Or
talk to
what do
me in
you
slang.
mean?
I am completely ignorant when it comes to that.
Sure.
I'm old school, and my mom had us reading the dictionary. I loved English, so the English and one reason I love reading the Bible is because it's old English, and
Mhm.
so when there's like these new words, I'm like, I have no idea.
Yeah,
So I feel sorry for you in that respect because I know
it's
what
always
I
changing
know what it's
too. It's
like.
like,
Yeah.
okay, I just got the lingo down. Next kid sled gets coming. It's like, but I just learned all the things, and now you changed it. Oh yeah.
They're stretching their relationship skills with you.
Yeah, they're stretching my relationship skills some of the time. But hey, that's okay. I mean, and kind of, I mean, we're kind of joking about it, but at the same time, it's like it's okay. We're all working on ourselves. We're
Right.
all trying to grow as people, as we talked about last episode. It's an important thing to do. And relationship skills are another type of skill that again is just going to have to continue to grow with you as you grow as a human.
Right. So as we wind down this episode, because I think we're going to have to do another one on relationship skills.
Sure.
I think the one thing that I will say is that you don't have to invite people into your life that are going to cause you to, well, how should I phrase this? That is going to bring up those negative feelings within you. Um, for me, my mom said when I was younger, don't marry someone who doesn't have your values because there will be contention there all the time.
Mhm.
And I think that's one piece of advice that I wish I would have listened to because when you're marrying someone or getting in a long-term relationship with someone, you want to have those commonalities, right? Those core commonalities. So that would probably be my only advice because I have lived on the opposite spectrum of that.
Sure.
You don't have to invite people into your life that don't agree with you, that don't have your common core values. Surround yourself with people that do, that do have your values, and you won't have any issues. But if for some reason you have those friends or you have that family member that does not agree with you whatsoever, learn relationship skills. Learn how to be kind and compassionate and understanding when it comes to disagreements, and establish and maintain. I think you even have that in your phraseology.
Hmm.
Maintain that supportive relationship, because if you don't, then why are you friends? If you can't maintain that. And when it comes to family members, it is crucial that you maintain that healthy and supportive relationship no matter what. Otherwise, your children are not going to like you, and your parents are not going to like you, and that is very sad to me. Your family is your family. That should be your core support system. So that's one thing. I mean, I'll let you end the show with kind of your perspective on that, but I think for me that is, family is the basis of who we are.
Yeah.
So
Um, yeah, no, I hear you and I agree. And, I wish I could say I fully agree. I mean, as you kind of alluded to, not a lot of, but some of my students don't come from a very
right.
healthy or supportive family. And in those situations, I think it's important to be able to recognize that and go, okay, yep, this is something and I use the phrase like you can't divorce yourself from your family. Well, I mean, you can if you choose to. You
Yeah.
certainly can. And in most cases, is that the right thing to do? Probably not. Because, I mean, hopefully there's some sort of, pieces there that
Right.
are healthy and supportive. And I'm not by any means saying that most families are not, because it's quite the opposite, honestly. But if you are, if you do find yourself in those situations, or in that situation, I should say, just being able to recognize that and go, okay, yeah, this is not healthy for me. This is not a supportive environment. And recognize too, people can change over time. That's something to be aware of. Should you expect somebody to change, though? Not necessarily. You can't necessarily count on that or rely upon that being a thing. Um, Nor should you try to, of course, you want to maybe encourage somebody to do that, or what have you. But at the end of the day, they have to make their own decision, right? So with that being the case, yeah, I think most of the time families are going to be healthy and supportive, and absolutely, like, and even if it's not your biological family, like there's got to be people that you've surrounded yourself with that you would consider to be your family. Like some of my best friends, I wouldn't even call them friends. Like they're my brothers, and I don't have any biological brothers, and that's fine. Um, so just kind of being aware, and maybe I know we try to give our listeners a little bit of a homework assignment, and especially since we're getting close to the holidays, really try to think of who those people are that you value the most, those relationships that you value the most. And even if you just jot them down on a little list, like, okay, these are my people, this is my tribe, so to speak. Whether they're your family, friends, coworkers, what have you. Like, who are these people and why are they on that list? What made them, you know, worthy enough to get to your list from your standpoint? I think that would be some good things to kind of do some self awareness and self exploration on there a little bit. Because these relationships, as you said, they're really important, and these are people that are going to help us when we can't help ourselves. So,
Right. And I love that point that you made, and I really do encourage people to do that. I was told a couple years ago, you really only need 5 people in your life that truly believe in you, that truly want to see you succeed, that truly love you to the core, that, carry your core values. You only need 5. And those 5 people, if they truly are those people and your people, will go with you through your life. And you may not find them like me until you're in your 40s, right? I had some core people. My mom and dad are my core people, but they're my family, so I don't really consider them like my 5 people. But you only need a few.
mhm.
You don't need everybody in the world to like you.
Yep.
Just know that there is one person who does believe in you, right? Everybody needs at least one. And I
Mhm.
think for me, I had my one show up when I was just starting my healing process. And that catapulted me into even more exploration of who I was. And I know for a fact that I wouldn't be as far as I am in my healing journey and wouldn't have this podcast had it not been for that one person who truly believed in me. So I really, encourage the listeners to listen to Mr. Tony. Write down those people. Find out, why are they part of your tribe? Why are they your people? And carry those people with you. Reach out to them, thank them for being a part of your life and who you are. So we're definitely going to have to do another episode on relationship skills, because now I have quite a few topics brewing in my head, and we'll have to expound on that a little bit more. But
Sure.
as always, you are a blessing to me, and I appreciate you. We have so many topics that Mr. Tony put together that this is just the tip of the iceberg. So he's our monthly podcast episode that I thoroughly enjoy all the time. So I know he's had a long day today, and we're going to cut it short. And I hope, I don't know when this is going to come out. So happy Thanksgiving to everyone. It's in a couple of weeks. Today's Veterans Day. Happy Veterans Day again. But I really appreciate you, and I can't wait till our next episode. And and a year's coming. Christmas is going to be here before you know it. So
No, it's crazy. Time's flying. I'm almost halfway through the school year. I'm like, wait, what?
I know it's crazy how fast this year went, but I
Oh,
appreciate you being here. And thank you everyone for joining us for another episode of Soul Hygiene. We'll see you later.